Hello, 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 my beautiful ladies. How are you doing today? I hope that everybody is doing fantastic. Oh, I am doing great. I'm doing great. I am so looking forward, though, to warmer weathers. How about you? Are you looking forward to that as well? I am just so tired of this cold weather that we're getting over here in the East Coast. I'm so looking forward to just the warmth. Okay, and that's coming up. My favorite time of the year is spring because it's not too cold, it's not too hot. I just love spring. So I'm looking forward. That's coming up, and I cannot wait. So you know what I'm going to tell you, that you are beautiful. I tell women that they're beautiful because sometimes we're not told. Sometimes our boyfriends or husbands forget to tell us, and sometimes we just don't feel it within ourselves. But I know, I don't care what size you are, I don't care what you look like, you are beautiful to me. Okay? So I want you to always understand that. Always remember that no matter what, you are wonderfully made by God. So you are absolutely beautiful. So today you are listening to the Estrogen Chronicles, Her Plate, Her Power, and your host, which is me. I'm Gail Thorpe, and I'm a functional nutritionist at your service. So I want you to relax. I want you to get your water, your juice, maybe a little hint of wine if you like. And I want you to sit back and enjoy the podcast with me. So today we're going to talk about protein, because that is something that is so important for us. That helps us to lose weight. It helps to feed our bodies and rebuild our bodies. It helps to give us energy. It does a lot of good things. And it's something that is essential for women to make sure that they're taking a look at, making sure that they're getting their protein that's needed in their body. And my goal is always to break down everything when it comes down to women's health, to break down all the things that we need to help us to be healthier and to help us to balance our hormones, to help us to balance our lives, period. So that's my goal. That's what I do. So let's start off by saying, what exactly is a protein? So as you know, or maybe not know, that a protein is one of the 3 micronutrients, along with fats and carbohydrates, that your body needs in substantial amounts. It's made of amino acids, which is the building blocks of your body. And with protein, why it's so important, as I was saying a little bit earlier, is that it helps, for one thing, to build and repair your tissues. It helps to create enzymes and hormones. It helps to support your immune function. It helps to maintain a muscle mass, and also helps to transport nutrients. So protein is basically the structural, and it's also regulatory parts of your body that is needed. Without enough of it, the body simply cannot maintain normal function. So when you see a lot of times where people are taking that protein in the morning and making sure they're getting their protein in, you hear protein. But some people are like, why are they so caring about protein? Well, this is why. It is so important. So when you are low in protein intake, what does that look like? So when protein is consistently too low, the body begins to show clear signs. Some of the most common symptoms that you may experience is fatigue and low energy. You will start to experience muscle loss or difficulty building and maintaining muscles. Your hair is thinning or it's shedding. Hello, ladies. Did you ever think that with your hair thinning like that, or possibly shedding, that's coming from the lack of protein? You start to have brittle nails. You start to have edema, so you start to swell, especially in your legs and your feet. And then you have poor wound healing. So you're not able to heal your wounds without proper protein. And you'll also start to have frequent infections. So as I mentioned, your body starts to weaken with your immune system. You'll have mood changes or increased irritability. And did you ever think that that was possible? Some of us as walking around here, we sometimes say, hey, we know we're moody. We don't know why. Well, this could be why. You start to crave sugars and unstable blood. It start to become unstable in your blood sugar. Your skin becomes dry and it starts to look flaky skin. And then you have menstrual irregularities. How about that? Did you know that low protein can actually affect your menstruation? So these are the body's way of saying, I don't have the materials that I need. Because remember that protein is so important because it's part of the building block, a huge part of the building block of your body. Okay? So always keep that in mind. Now, women, us ladies, okay? We have unique psychological, physiological demands when it comes down to our hormones. So with our menstrual cycles and pregnancy, perimenopause or menopause, and generally lower baseline muscle mass. So protein plays a huge role in, as I mentioned, hormone production. Protein is needed to make peptide hormones like insulin, FSH or LH, and other hormones deeply involved in the menstrual function and metabolic health. Your blood sugar balance. Women are more susceptible to blood sugar swings. Protein actually slows digestion and stabilizes your glucose, helping to prevent cravings, fatigue, and mood dips. It helps with muscle, as I mentioned, muscle and bone preservation. So with women, naturally lose muscle more quickly than men, especially after age 35. So low protein accelerates. Okay? Then you start to get muscle loss, right? And then you start to possibly get osteoporosis because muscles help maintain your bones. Okay? And then fertility and menstrual regularity. Adequate protein supports ovulation, balanced estrogen and progesterone. It provides a healthy follicle development. So low protein can directly contribute to no ovulation, or cycle irregularities. So detoxification and liver function. Women, we process hormones, especially estrogen, through the liver. So insufficient protein compromises detox pathways, contributing to estrogen dominance, PMS, fibroids, headaches, and hormonal weight gain. See? This is why it's so important. And if you scroll back on our podcast site, or on any of the other major sites that we are on, all of them, you can go back and see some of the things when I talk about PMS, when I talk about perimenopause, when I talk about hormones, all of that stuff. So I try to cover as much as possible. Okay? So if low proteins become chronic, the consequences can be severe, can be serious. So it can cause hormone imbalances, as I mentioned, irregular cycles, PMS, low libido, difficulty conceiving, and it can actually help to worsen your perimenopause symptoms. So this is how important protein is, okay? Loss of lean body mass, which can lead to slower metabolism. It can lead to weight gain, especially belly fat. Did you ever make the connection that low protein over a longer period of time, which is chronic, can actually lead to belly fat? So if you look down and you said, hey, I'm exercising, I thought I was doing all the right things, but I cannot lose this belly fat. That could be contributing to low protein, especially over a longer period of time. And then poor strength and balance. Digging a little bit deeper, we're talking about a weakened immune function. More, like I mentioned, more infections, longer recovery time, and chronic inflammation. You're going to start getting that that skin, hair, and nail deterioration. So the collagen formation depends on amino acids. So without them, your skin ages faster, your hair starts to thin, and nails break easily. And let's talk about the mental health challenges with that. So protein affects your neurotransmitters. So low levels may cause anxiety. It may cause irritability. It may cause mood swings and even difficulty concentrating. How about that? Did you ever think that your brain fog could be coming from that? Low protein. So again, as I mentioned about having osteoporosis, so low protein, when we take a little deeper dive, because of that, the low muscle mass, reduced bone stimulation, and weakened bones. And then we talked about the blood sugar instability, which could lead to hypoglycemia, insulin resistance, which of course can be the precursor for pre-diabetes. Okay? So these are things that we want to consider when we're looking at some of the symptoms that I talked about. And that's what I like to do here. I like to uncover the mask of some things as women that we experience, because sometimes we think it's our fault. Sometimes we think, hey, I'm doing everything, but I'm not losing my stomach. Why am I so irritable? All of these different things. Right? And sometimes it could be because you simply are low in nutrients, low in protein, that is causing the different problems that you may be experiencing. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, you always know that I always like to talk about when is the time to see a doctor for protein deficiency. So you want to consider a healthcare professional. If you are basically having persistent symptoms that's lasting more than 2 to 4 weeks. So as I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, ongoing fatigue, so being tired, that doesn't improve with rest. You start to really see your hair thinning and shedding and brittle nails. You have that muscle weakness and loss of strength or unexplained muscle loss. You have that edema, that swelling in your legs and your feet, or even around your eyes. You have slow wound healing. And then you have reoccurring infections, or just a feeling of just a run down frequently. You don't feel good. And then the menstrual irregularities. You have missed periods or new hormonal symptoms. You have that unexplained weight changes, whether it be a gain or a loss. And you constantly are craving sugar. Constantly, or feeling shaky when hungry. And then you have symptoms of low blood pressure, so you may have dizziness or fainting. Okay? So a diet that has been very low in protein for months is considered extreme dieting. And then you'll have the chronic stress, and you have the poor appetite. Okay? Now, if these symptoms continue, or sometimes can even be sudden or very severe, and is accompanied with all of the things I mentioned, and the swelling, the fainting possibly maybe, rapid weight loss, you definitely should seek medical attention. Now, what are the tests that a doctor can perform when you go? I always like to cover that, because in case you do have to go because of some of the things that I'm talking about that start to radiate with you, you want to be a step ahead and know what he or she is about to do. So the first thing that they may offer to you, of course, would be a comprehensive metabolic panel, which is CMP. This includes testing your protein, your liver and kidney functions, and also your albumin. Okay? Your albumin is one of the first markers affected in moderate to severe deficiency. You'll have more sensitive testing markers to test with that particular test to see where your protein levels could possibly be. Low levels of certain type of pre-markers can actually indicate inadequate protein or poor absorption. Then you'll have a complete blood count, which is probably heard of it, CBC. And this helps to see if you have anemia or any type of infections. It gives basically the overall health of your blood cells. So low protein, of course, can reduce red blood cell production. Okay? And you'll have the amino acid profile, which sometimes can be ordered for functional and integrative persons like myself. I can test for that. And that basically shows specific amino acid deficiencies and metabolic stress. They may even order a thyroid panel as well, okay? Because chronic low levels intake can affect your T3 production, impacting your metabolism and your energy. Also, studies on your iron and your ferritin. So low protein often accompanies poor iron status, definitely in us ladies. Okay? And then, of course, hormone testing if you have menstrual issues. And this can involve your estrogen, your progesterone, your FSH or your LH, your cortisol, your insulin, and then also your blood sugar markers, which would be A1C. Normally it's fasting glucose. You may also have a urinalysis. They may check for that as well. This helps in seeing as far as protein loss and kidney issues. Okay? But it's important for your lifestyle, your diet history, your stress levels. In any conditions affecting your digestion absorption, like IBS or celiac disease or chronic GI inflammation, all of these things could contribute to possibly low protein. And you may be thinking of something else. Okay? So, if you, or us ladies, is found to have low protein, right? Treatment depends on the underlying cause. So, dietary protein increase, the most common and straightforward treatment, is adding high quality animal or plant proteins, using protein powders if appetite is low, and then balancing across meals to stabilize blood sugar. Okay? Now, it's normally recommended that 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kg, which your body weight, and basically working with the functional practitioner can help you, like myself, can help you to see what is the proper amounts for you based upon different factors and different testings. So treating underlying conditions. So in this case, if deficiency is caused by something deeper, addressing that is essential. So let's say digestive issues, low stomach acid, malabsorption, gut inflammation, okay, chronic illness affecting your metabolism, kidney or liver issues, eating disorders or chronic restrictive dieting can affect that as well, and hormone imbalances. Now, supplements, if you need, okay, you can take essential amino acid blends. They are out there. Okay, digestive enzymes, collagen peptides, vitamin and mineral supplements like, for instance, iron or B12 or zinc. And then, of course, the goal would be is to retake where you are. After you have made some of these changes to your possible diet, increasing your protein intake, you want to definitely recheck where you are, at least 6 to 12 weeks, to ensure proper improvement. Okay? Because what you don't want to do, remember, if you've been having these symptoms for a while, so now you're considered chronically protein deficient, it may take a little time, even with you making those changes, for things to start to ramp up for you. But it just depends on how deep it is, how long you've gone, and what are the problems and symptoms that you are experiencing. Now, if a protein deficiency is not addressed, a woman may experience, as I just mentioned before, again, I'm going to reiterate how important it is. If it's not addressed, we're dealing with hormone depletion, fertility challenges, immune suppression, chronic fatigue, blood sugar instability, poor skin, hair, and connective tissue, muscle loss, and weakness. So this is why it's important to make sure that if we are experiencing anything that I mentioned to you, and as I always say, a lot of these symptoms that we tend to have as ladies, it could be linked to other things. It doesn't have to be protein deficiency, but it could be protein deficiency. So that's why it's so important that we are going to get tested. So how do we take back our plate in this manner? And we say taking back our plate because we know that proper nutrition, right, can always make the difference. So we want to do things in the nature of animal-based, highest quality of complete proteins. So eggs, organic I prefer, chicken breast and turkey, lean beef or lamb, fish, so like salmon, tuna, sardines, cod and trout, shellfish like shrimp or mussels. We want to do Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, whey protein powder, and bone broth. Now, that's for animal-based, which really is the highest quality for protein, for complete protein. But let's not scratch out plant-based. That's also an excellent option. And you can also combine the animal and the plant-based. So like lentils, beans like black beans, kidney beans and chickpeas, tofu and tempeh. Okay, edamame, quinoa, which is a complete plant protein, hemp seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, nuts and nut butters, peas and pea protein powder. Okay, great things, animal protein to help us. And like I say, you can actually combine those as well. Now, the following things I'm going to mention can be added to meals or smoothies to easily bump up your protein. So collagen peptides, hemp hearts, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, nut butters, pea and whey protein, and silken tofu. Yummy. You're probably saying, not so yummy. I don't think about that. So foods that do not support protein health. You know, we talk about what is good for us, and we talk about things that we either need to stay away from us, or it's not going to help with our condition. Now, the following foods contain almost no protein, or they may work against protein absorption for muscle building and hormone stability when eaten in excess. Remember, in eating in excess. So, ultra low protein foods, most fruit, most vegetables, oils like coconut, olive, and avocado, butter or ghee, sugary foods like cakes, pastries, and sweets, white rice, white bread, pasta, low protein unless fortified, okay, or legume-based, foods that interfere with protein metabolism when eaten excessively, highly processed foods, sugary cereals, alcohol, which actually slows muscle recovery and protein synthesis, excessive caffeine on an empty stomach, very high sugar intake, refined carbs without protein leads to blood sugar crashes, and protein breakdown, fast food and trans fat, heavy foods. Okay? They don't destroy protein health, but they displace nutrient-dense foods and actually spikes your blood sugar, both of which women can affect women more so and worsen muscle and hormone balance in us. Okay? Now I'm going to talk about some of the best high protein smoothie that you can drink that's going to help you, because that's my gift to you today. You know, after everything that I talk about, after I give you the shock values of what is what you need to eat, what you need to stay away from, or what has low amounts of this or high amounts of that, I like to give the gift of saying, well, if I wanted to start to get my protein in order today, what can I do? And I always like to leave you guys with a gift. So this is a high protein smoothie, and it also helps to support hormonal balance. Okay? So we want to do 1 scoop of protein powder, which could be a wheat or a pea, a half cup of Greek yogurt, 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds, a half cup of frozen mixed berries, a half small frozen banana, and that helps give it the creaminess that we like, and 1 tablespoon of almond butter, and 1 1/2 cups of unsweetened almond or coconut milk. Now you can, this is optional boosters. You can also include 1 scoop of collagen if you like, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, and a pinch of cinnamon if you like. A few drops of high quality vanilla extract if you like. Now you want to take everything and add everything in your blender. Blend on high until smooth and creamy. Okay, that's when you want to go ahead and add your almond milk if you like. If you need to thin it out some more, that is not a problem. But this is going to give you 32 to 40 grams, depending upon the powder that you use and the toppings. This is going to be perfect for especially us ladies that's needing a morning protein stabilizer for hormones and blood sugar. How about that? Does that sound good? It is good. I actually tried it. It's delicious. It is absolutely delicious. So I think that we covered the gamut of the mystery around protein today, ladies. We talked about what is protein? Why is protein so important for us? We talked about some of the foods that are not really have any protein basis for you, right? And we talked about foods that if we eat in excess, it's not going to help with protein stabilization. We talked about foods that's good for adding protein into our diets and foods that we need to stay away from. This is how we take back our plate. We talked about also if you have to be tested, what are some of the testings that a doctor would do? And we talked about also what are some of the symptoms or when is it time to go to the doctor when we've had these different symptoms for a while and now it becomes a chronic protein deficiency. And we talked also about what happens when we're in that state and how important it is and what it can lead to. Menstrual problems. It can lead to hormone irregularities. It can lead to skin and hair issues. It can lead to irritability. And it can lead to belly fat. So we want to build ourselves up. So when you see next time, when you see someone that they're saying, I gotta have my protein in the morning, which is always good to start your day that way. It also helps with the regularity of your hunger, because when you start your morning with a good protein smoothie, like I just mentioned, what ends up happening is that it helps to regulate you as far as you're not as hungry throughout the day, right? So it definitely is the building block for us ladies Okay. So now, like I said, when you see your friend that's talking about how she has to have that protein in the morning and you wasn't sure before why it was so important to her, now you know why it's important. And that some of the symptoms that we talked about sounds familiar. I'm quite sure that you might have experienced that, right? But you didn't have no clue to know that it was simply because you're deficient in protein. You see, your body can pretty much take care of itself. God made it that way. But the problem is that when we start to become deficient in nutrients and amino acids and things that can help build our body, that's when it starts to break down. How do we find out when we are deficient? We take testings. That's how we find out. And going to a functional nutritionist like myself, I can provide a lot of testings to see where you are. I can know if you're low in your amino acids, right? Which again helps to build, those are proteins, help build up your body. I can find those things out for you to tell you exactly where you are, right? So it's important to not guess, but to test. I'm like a health detective to find out and get to the bottom cause of any problem that you may have. Okay? As I always say, ladies, health is our wealth. And we have to take care of that before we worry about anything else, before we buy those beautiful shoes or that gorgeous hair that we like. It doesn't matter. If we don't take care of our health, none of those things are going to matter. And of course, ladies, as I mentioned to you, if you are still not sure what food you need to eat, particularly for yourself, if you're not sure if you're low in your amino acids and protein, and you want to get further help or even better supplements, right? That's going to be able to help you. That's where I come in at. Go to www.nutritionudesign.com. Be sure to go ahead and book a consultation with me. And I go through a thorough process of intake and knowing what you're needing and what, we can eliminate, right? And then we go ahead and get testing done. I can test from so many things, from your hormones to your genes, all kind of stuff. And I definitely can test for amino acids and protein, which are the building block of your body. So again, www.nutritionudesign.com. Give me a call. Reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. And most importantly, let's get that protein underway. Get it underway. And like I always say, wellness is not just a focus, ladies. It's a lifestyle. I don't want you to feel that you should focus on this. It's not really a focus. It's about building a lifestyle, a healthy eating. I don't believe in also not eating a piece of cake from time to time, not having maybe a little piece of candy from time to time. That's not what it's about. When you're talking about lifestyle nutrition is just really incorporating the good things in your life and sometimes not so good, but enjoying yourself and making sure you cover those deficiencies that needs to be handled so that you can live at optimum. Okay, ladies. So I think I've covered it all today. I hope that you learned something today. Please do me a favor also. In order for me to continue to provide great information for you, to take away the mystery from us as women and what we suffer from and what we need to learn more about to help us to be at our optimum, you have to share. You have to share this podcast for me. And also, be sure to like and subscribe. It's free. It's actually free. So please do that for me. Share. Like. That would mean the world to me. So until next time, ladies, I hope that you have a great rest of your week. I hope that it's starting to warm up where you are. And most importantly, get that protein in, okay? And start with that protein smoothie that I gave to you. Have a great rest of the week, and I will talk to you soon.